So basically what we have done is we have taken all the standards for Unit 3, and what I did was I put them on separate pieces of paper. So this is all Unit 3A, this is 3B, 3C. And what I did is I wrote the standard on a Post-it, also making sure I labeled whether it was a critical standard with the check plus or just an important standard with the check. I also just did some key terms that went along with each standard, so it was just easy for me to identify what the standard was and what it was referring to. So I did that for all three, and then basically before we start taking these standards and dividing them up where we want them in the 90, we went through and we marked where these standards are assessed. So on some of these you'll see that they're assessed just on A, but you'll also see where I put A, B on some of these because it's assessed both in A and B, and then B and C, and vice versa. And then finally, we have standards over here that I just put on here. They're not addressed on Pivot, but just so that way it's still on our radar for other parts of our day.
Okay. So I think it's really important to note as we're doing this, it really helps to make sure we put on each Post-it whether it's assessed in A, B, or C, so that way when we are looking at a whole 9 weeks, we can make sure we're still prioritizing A to make sure that you're not getting in B and C later on. You're doing that later on. You're making sure that we're still ready for Pivot.
Right.
So, okay, so let's look first at our block. So we have our block kind of laid out here. So for 3rd grade, we do interactive read aloud between 9 and 9:20. And I have a star there because interactive read aloud, research shows that no more than 20 minutes. And I myself was getting completely behind on that because conversations would happen and it was so great. And that's why I wasn't able to fit in small groups later on. I didn't want to let go of that. But now I find that at the end of that 20 minutes, no matter where we are in conversation, if we stop that, it's actually better because then we have a starting point the next day. And, the kids like when we're like, we're done for today. No, and then you can say, hold on to that and let's start with that conversation tomorrow. So I make sure 9:20 done no matter what. Our word work, vocab, and fluency is between 9:20 and 9:30. We then have a time period that we're referring to as test prep / rotations. So I know in 3rd grade it's major, it's very, very critical that we make sure kids are getting grade level text that they're reading. We're on Acuity, we're on News ELA, we're on Smithsonian. They're doing some sort of test prep. And so that's from 9:30 to 9:45. We then do our mini lesson for the teaching point of the day, and that would be between 9:45 and 10 with transitions. And then small group and independent reading is 10 to 10:30. So you can see we're starting at 9 in the morning and we're stopping at 10:30.